If you haven't seen this post that's been going all over the internet recently, the Navy decided to post this picture. And you probably noticed something a little off about that picture, that the Trijicon VCOG optic that is on there is on backwards, like this one is. So we're gonna test it. Do optics work backwards? Can't say this is ever a video I ever thought I was going to film or have to test, but since our US military decided to post that picture, I feel like it's probably pretty important to see if this is even an option, to see if it works. Sadly, there's actually more with that picture going wrong, like the grip being basically right against your lower, and the fact that the handguard isn't even in place properly. So it's kind of a train wreck. The more you look at it, the worse it gets. But the biggest one being the fact that the scope is on backwards. And I don't know if you've ever looked through an optic or a scope backwards, but it's not the best thing to look through, but is it possible? And that's what we're gonna test in this video. So I got a bunch of different optics. We've got the Trijicon VCOG, we got an EOTech, Aimpoint T1, Wilson AEMS, and a Prism optic from Primary Arms. So I wanted to do a variety of different optics. So we got red dots holographics, an etched prismatic optic, and a scope. So we're gonna try all of these optics and see what is the difference. If there is a difference, do any of them work? Do some of them not work? And we'll go from there. So we'll start close range and then we'll go out to the long range and see what happens. Quickly, I want to thank the sponsors of the channel, Tecto Knives, Howitzer, and Brownells. You can go to my website and find links from there that'll help you guys out a ton, and it does help out the channel a lot, so check out my website. The sponsor of today's video is HRT Tactical. They're the ones that make this plate carrier, weapon lights, handheld lights, and a lot of other things on their website. I did a video at SHOT Show going over some of their new products. I'm going to be doing some training with them later this year as well. This is my primary plate carrier, which actually replaced my old plate carrier from HRT Tactical, but this is the new one. This is the LBAC, the one that we actually gave away to one of you. You were able to customize this and everything, but HRT Tactical has been a huge sponsor of the channel, along with supporting you guys in a lot of the cool giveaways that they've been doing. But please check them out and take a look at all the new products and show them some love and support as well. Also, if you're looking for a video on the breakdown of this new helmet that I just finished, let me know and I'll do a video on it. We can do a breakdown of my budget and expensive helmet and go over the pros and cons of both. We're out at the range and we're gonna put it to the test if a backwards optic can work, and maybe it's actually better. Maybe the Navy's got something. So we're gonna start up close. We're here at about 15, 20 yards just to see if it is possible to actually hit a target with this. I've got all the optics zeroed as well as I could. You'll see here a little bit later why some of them were a little bit difficult to do. Some of the reticles and what they did were kind of wild, but we'll go over that a little bit later. But let's go at this one first and see what this does and see if we can actually hit the targets with the VCOG backwards, like the Navy was showing us. They're onto something. Let me tell you what. It's not the worst thing in the world. All right, I have to say, that was a lot easier than I expected to shoot with it, being on backwards. Being able to view through it is a very small circle that you can see through, like your field of view, and being able to have that eye box basically doesn't exist. But if you just leave both eyes open, you can see the red dot enough to be able to make the shot accurately. So it's definitely not the best option in the world, but it worked. But what I want to do next is go out to distance. We're going to start at 100 yards and see if it can still work there. Because honestly, at this distance, this is really just point aim shooting. You're not really having to aim a ton. So with that being said, I would like to go at distance and be able to see if we could shoot there, where it's not nearly as easy here, where you can kind of make a mistake and still be able to hit. Now that we tested the VCOG, I want to run through a handful of different style of optics. So this is a Primary Arms 2x. It's kind of an older style optic, but this has an etched reticle in it. So I want to see what this one does when it's backwards. And then we're going to test a red dot holographic, a different red dot. And we've got 3 other optics, red dot holographic, in different styles. I want to see what each style of optic does and if it is actually usable. So with this one, what's actually unique, so this is a fixed 2x. So when you look down it, you're gonna look 2 times closer. So it just gives you a little bit of magnification. When you look through it backwards, it gives you 2 times backwards. It basically makes the target 2 times farther, which is kind of hilarious. So this target over here that's 20 yards away, I look at it, now it looks like it's a 40-yard target. And see what it does. So I tried that with both eyes open at first, but it really throws you off because you get two different targets. You get one target that looks like the distance that it actually is, and then your other eye sees the target that's really far away because it pushes it out. So it really is not good to use both eyes open with this backwards. I love that I'm like trying to teach you how to shoot an optic back. Like the best practice for shooting this optic backwards is using only one eye. Like we're all gonna switch our optics around. So I found it better to be able to just close one eye and just deal with the fact that the target is now 2 times as far away. So this mic is absolutely amazing. One of the best mics I've ever used, but the problem with it is it doesn't handle gunfire really well. Maybe it's my problem and I don't know how to do the settings to change that, but in my experience, it's terrible. It makes it really, really annoying for the end user. So what I've been doing is taking it off and on, and it stinks because I like to be able to talk while I'm shooting. So we'll just talk. The audio might be a little bit lower, so I apologize for that, but it's kind of what we're working with right now for the mic setup. So now we've got an Aimpoint T1 here that is backwards on a CZ Scorpion. This is the carbine. And what's interesting about this one is you can't even actually see the red dot. Like I brought it down here because I wanted to try it, but now that I've actually like went through it and stuff, you can't at all see backwards through the red, which is actually a really good thing. That is a benefit, because what you don't want is at nighttime or you're aiming towards somebody or something and that thing to be able to see something emitting from the front of your optic. So it's actually a really, really good thing that you can't see anything. So like in a real life situation, it's like, sweet, that's a good optic. In this situation where I'm shooting these backwards, it's not great because I can't see anything. But we'll run through a string real quick. So we'll see what we can do. It's not bad. So we got another red dot, but what is really interesting about this one is you can actually see a reticle in this, but not just one. There's actually 3 reticles appearing on this side of the optic. So I don't know what it is with the design or how they make this differently. So this is a Holosun AEMS, and it's kind of weird. So I don't really know which reticle is the right one. So we're just gonna work with all 3 of them and see which one is the accurate one. So the bottom one is really, really low. So I'm gonna say that one's probably not it. The middle one here feels a little more natural, and then that one feels pretty decent too. So what we should do actually, let's throw our backup sights up. Yeah, it's kind of lined up in the middle. So we'll rock it and try it. So this one's weird. This one actually functions the exact same way backwards as it does forward, if you can get around the fact that you have 3 reticles to choose from. The middle one was the right one. There's a top one that's bigger and the bottom one's a little bit smaller than the other 2. You can see there's definitely a size difference. But if you can get around the fact that there's 3 reticles, this shoots just the same as it does forward. So that's really, really goofy. Now, another thing I'll say is it's much dimmer than what it would be the other way. So this is at full blast. So if I face this the opposite direction or had it on the right way, it would be really, really bright. It's probably like too bright. But with here, it's just bright enough for me to see it. So if it was brighter out today, like a really sunny day and not rainy, I don't know if I'd even be able to see that reticle. So that's a weird one though. It's interesting to see how 2 different red dots, they're the same style of optic, but made by different brands, have different results. So the last optic we're working with is an EOTech, and this is a holographic style optic. And all that is basically the internals and the way the reticle works is a little bit different than a red dot. They're just different styles. And with this one, it's the same way. You do not see a single thing looking at it backwards, which again is a wonderful thing. It means it's a really good optic and it's made the right way. We're gonna run through a string of this just because I do think it's funny, and I brought the AK down here, so we're gonna shoot it. We're up at the 100-yard range, and this is gonna be very difficult because the reticle just isn't wildly clear, and I think that's one of the hardest parts, is not having it as clear as you would want, especially for this distance of a shot. So let's take a shot here and see what we can do. It'd be helpful if I could see where I was shooting to. All right, so this one's gonna be difficult. Let's zoom this in, see what happens. So this is actually, just like the 2 times, is zooming out. So I just went to the 8 power magnification, and it is now 800 yards now. All right, I'm gonna shoot at it. Oh, that would have been awesome if I would have hit that. All right, so that is not helpful in the slightest. So it's honestly like when you were a kid and you would take binoculars, but you'd flip them around and look the opposite direction, and how like it's like this long tube and like everything's really far away. That is the best way I can explain what I'm looking at. It's just not clear. That's the hardest part about it, is it's not clear. Like, it's really difficult to see down it. Up close, when you're able to open both eyes, it wasn't terrible, but at this distance, it's not a clear picture. All right, I really want to hit this. I don't like leaving this without being hit, so we're gonna hit this. I actually got to see that hit. There we go. Okay, whew. That's all I want to do. I want to at least hit it once. We have to at least try with the Holosun. All right, there we go. I just had to walk it down. It was a little high to the left. I'm back from the range and I had a chance to dry off a little bit. But as you can tell from the video, does it work? Some of them do. I mean, some of the red dots didn't work, the holographic didn't work, but some of the etched reticles, and oddly enough, the AEMS, I still don't know what the difference is with that one opposed to the other red dots. It has to be something with the emitter that it's using to be able to let it reflect from the front of the optic as well. But the etched reticles, you're gonna notice are gonna work the best because the reticle's already there. You're not looking at a laser, it's etched into the glass. So this one didn't work terribly. Where it really fell off is when you got to that distance. Like I showed, you can really point shoot at that distance and it's not that bad off, because the more that you train and you bring that rifle up and shoot, the better you get at bringing that gun exactly where it needs to be. So once you got at the distance, the blurriness is what really messed with me. It was not crisp. It was not super easy to see. And then when I zoomed it out, it just shot that target way far away, which I thought was hilarious. But yeah, is it possible? Yes, it's possible. You can do it. But I would never under any circumstance recommend it. But you know, the whole goal of this was to see if it's even possible. And I guess maybe that's what the military wants to do. More power to them, but maybe they should have somebody on their marketing team that also kind of knows what they're doing and at least could vet those things. I mean, I can understand if it was something small, like they had like an accessory or something put on a little different, or like their backup sights were on backwards, like something small I get. But something as important as the optic itself, that like is how you aim the gun. Like I would imagine that gun wasn't just put together that second and then was like, oh, let's go take a picture with it. I'm sure they probably trained with it. So at no point did anybody look at that picture or look at that guy training and be like, maybe that's not the one. I picture the guy shooting and he's like, gosh dang it, I look so cool. And the guy taking the pictures is like, that looks amazing. And they're all so excited to post this, and then they post it and then they get the comments and they're like, yeah, we screwed up. I really wish I would have been in the room when they found out their mistake. But it is what it is. It's funny. We all have fun with it. It's a meme. Everyone's gonna make fun of them. But honestly, sadly, but realistically, that is the truth. There are a lot of people here in this community, and we're about to get serious, so hold on for a second. It was a fun video, now we get to be serious for a second. It is a reality that people in the community just don't know. And honestly, people are sometimes afraid to ask because of the way people treat other people when they do ask those questions. Is it a silly question to me and you that might be a little more proficient? Yeah, it seems like a silly question. Okay, which way does your optic go? But I'm gonna be real honest with you, I put an optic on the wrong way before when I first started getting into guns. It happens. And they're not gonna know unless we're able to help them and give them constructive criticism. But the problem is a lot of people in this community don't do that. They just want to bash people and make fun of them and everything else. And it's all good and fun to be able to make a meme of it. It is funny. I get it. Like the optic was on backwards. But there are people that genuinely just don't know, and we need to be there to be able to help them. So make sure that if you're at a range or you're shooting with a buddy and they have a genuine question, be there to assist them. You can poke fun at them and it can be a good time. It can be a running joke. That's okay. But make sure in the end you teach them the right way and be able to allow them to grow and learn. But anyway, I really like this gun. This thing was fun. I'm gonna flip this optic so it's the right way and go back out and have some more fun with it and break this thing even more. Hopefully you guys enjoyed the video. I do like sprinkling in some different styles every once in a while. This was fun to go out and test. But the channel sponsors and the people that support the channel so much, make sure you guys are showing them some love. That is the most important thing you can do, because they give me the ability to make this content for you guys for free and be able to get all the ammo and all the products and accessories to be able to test this stuff and be able to make these videos. So that is super helpful. Going to the link in my website is one of the best ways you can do that. But Brownells, Big supporter of the channel, massive supporter, and I can get almost all of my accessories through them. Techno Knives makes phenomenal knives. Really like the A5 Spry. Just did a giveaway as well. Gave 2 of you guys those knives, and they've been loving it so far. Really, really like that A5 Spry. The Badger is also really cool. It's that little tiny one, and they have some sweet collaborations coming up here really soon with some big companies that are going to be really neat. And then Howitzer donates 5% of proceeds to charity, which is awesome, and they donate a ton of money, and they just have awesome clothes, which is a giant perk. So the donation, the fact that they make awesome clothes, and they have a Tactical Advisor shirt. So check that one out. There's a link in the description. Other than that, thank you guys so much. I appreciate you all.